Hey, Mike Ratner, this is a video for Blobby. So I haven't done one of these in a long time. I've just got on camera. I've been doing my podcast at mikesmastermind.com, but this is to answer specifically Blobby's question. I'm definitely in a very interesting period of time right now, and I'm recording this the first week of October. I just submitted my book proposal for Igoism. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, check out mikesmastermind.com, or you can go to igoism.com. Igoism, that particular paper is the relating the construction of the ego and comparing it to the ego, which it is not. But anyway, I might find that interesting. The lobby's question was more specifically, and I wanted to answer because we got so much going on in our community going right now. But because it was curious, like, well, what's Mike's philosophy? What's he really writing about in the big picture? And I should kind of create a chart here, so maybe someone could, well, put a green screen up and we can do it that way. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing really great. Blobby's question, and gotta love Blobby wanting to know what the big picture was. So, in one of the earlier episodes of Mike'sMastermind.com, I talk about the three dimensions of human space. And this is simply our interpretation of reality as it's constructed for us. Now, of course, you want to make things comprehensive. In this way, we talk about a process philosophy which tries to explain our beingness and how it fits into the bigger picture. Oops, I'm just holding my phone while I'm talking. This is impromptu, but I figured I'd get it done because I got a lot going on today, and I just want to move on with the day. But so I talk about the MEST, MEST, and I use a lot of acronyms, and it stands for matter, energy, space, and time. And if you ask any physicist, any scientist that studies physical reality, they will tell you that's all there is: matter, energy, space, and time. So MEST. What makes it messed up in the human consciousness way, it doesn't always have to be messed up, but it is messed of what it is our comprehension of it, that it could be matter of concern, energy or emotional dissipation, space invasion, time theft. These are kind of issues that make us morbid, and I write about this as well, morb theory. And this is helps also explain the projection of the ego in certain circumstances or in our constructed reality that makes it messed up. And the UP in the messed up is that we fail to see that it's universal and it's perpetual. And bottom line, it ain't going to change, man. It's the way it is. So if we could adapt to reality, we might have more, at least self control in our being able to adapt to it. And I talk about my core philosophy, which is about ultra being. So ultimately, if you want to get a tidbit sampling of all these ideas, just go to my webpage, grandtourideas.com, and you can get a sampling, a little tidbit tasting of everything, a little explanation of these different concepts together. Okay, so the MEST is this cosmological, you could say the big picture, right? Matter, energy, space, and time. It's the universe that we're in. Now, as we come down to look at our world, and we're talking about, yeah, planet Earth, but how we're living in our own constructed realities, which is the world that we're in, we have to make some comprehension of it. So earlier this year, I put together two German words, Welt slosh, which translates literally into world building. I use it more in the term of dwelling. So we've built a world, and we're continuing to build or deconstruct in that sort of framework or philosophy I'm talking about here. So the perspective is that we are in the world, we ought to examine how we're dwelling in it. How are we being in the world? Which lends back to my hopefully distillation of ultra beingness. But we have to work through the morbidity part, which you can get a frame of reference in at grandtourideas.com. All right, let's just sort of recap. I'm going to go in the third dimension in a second, which is more immediate space here. But we have the big picture of the messed world, matter, energy, space, and time. And it comes down into our world. So we have the universe, and you could say our planet, of mind, state of mind. And that's affected by many factors, and it comes to realizations of our being able to see what is relevant for ourselves. See is not really quite good words, comprehend. So Weltslosh would be world dwelling, having some sense of the way that we're being in the world. And then that distills to the immediacy of what's felt, and I call that a metasphere. And we all have a terminology now that we call like the atmosphere, or the social climate, the sense that you have when you enter a room or you're in a relationship or a certain dynamic in a group and something's felt. It's more an immediacy of that moment. It could be related to the different filters of the three dimensions of space of what's happening in the big mess that's now translated down to the immediate Weltslosh, the way in which we're dwelling into things, and then the immediacy of what's felt, which I call the metasphere. And that can be adjusted, but the settings have certain inputs into this. And you could look at this as what might be our national narrative. The metasphere is really sort of what we're constructing, but also being able to relate to this. And if we can expand upon it because we're being able to be conscious of how we're showing up into our ultra beingness, it really can alter sort of the landscape of how we've superimposed reality or how it's been oppressed onto us so we can relate to each other better in a way that's more profound and in a way that's going to help us awaken. And that relates to my other project, at least what's going on with non-sex and asexuous and all the fun stuff that's going to happen. I'm optimistic for the IGO book deal, and this is going to be the transformation, man. It's going to be the paradigm shift. All right, I'm Mike Ratner. Hey, Bobby, thanks for that. I probably, as I get more into this, will divulge more of these ideas. You can get, again, a good idea of this at grandtourideas.com. All right, thanks. I'm Mike Ratner, over.